it's...
Okay, let's remind everybody, be sure if you got a question or a comment, raise your hand so we can get a mic on you so everybody can hear you. Jack?
In answer to her fitness watch question,
Yes.
I was reading some articles on the web recently about a brand new one from Fitbit. Apparently their previous offering was kind of a bomb. They tried to compete with the Apple Watch. And the new one is priced more moderately with reasonable apps and so on available on it. Can't remember what the model name was on it. I'm not sure. They did mention it was selling in the $200 range.
Was it the Charge, the Fitbit Charge?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I know someone who has had two of the cheaper Fitbits, and both of them have broken. The screen has separated from the watch. So I'm a little leery of Fitbit.
I think Joe's been using a Fitbit. Can we get a mic over here on Nick? I want to find out what the status is of Joe. For those of you online, welcome to Build or Buy. We've got a little bit of homework to do, and then we'll get into, we're going to talk about a router today, so give us about 10 or 15 minutes. Nick?
Okay, I've been in touch with Joe's daughter, or daughters, and I'm going to read you the emails that the text that I've gotten. This goes back to March the 6th when I was checking on him, and they said he didn't get chemo last Thursday because he was too weak. We're trying again today at 1:30. We've been trying to fatten him up, but he's still pretty skinny, getting around a bit better on his own. So that's promising. That was on March the 6th.
And that's from his daughter?
Right. And then I asked if he was at home or in rehab, and she said he came home last Tuesday. Janet, another one of his daughters, with him until Friday morning. Then my sons and I have been with him since. We're not ready to leave him on his own yet. And then yesterday, I said, just checking on Joe, hope he's doing better. Tomorrow, Build or Buy. Of course, everyone concerned and will want to report. Her response, he was hoping to go tomorrow, but we're back at Methodist. He'll be admitted. Same stuff. Low white cells, infection, pneumonia, congestion, irregular heartbeat. He was walking and eating better until this morning, was really weak, so we brought him in, and I'm glad we did. And that's the extent of my communications. You can draw whatever you want from that, but that's all I know.
So he was getting better, but then he got worse, and now he's got pneumonia again. Man, this really stinks. That would have been great if we could have seen you today, but I'm hoping maybe we'll see him next week. Everybody, please keep Joe in your prayers. For those of you online that are watching as well, keep Joe Winry in your prayers. I know he's a Marine, he's a tough guy, but still. Luke, we need to get a card together, another Thinking of You card, so everybody can sign. Where's Lou at? Oh, we need to get another card together for, okay, I appreciate it. Now, there's several things going on. I want to get a mic back there on Jeannie, because she's got a problem that she's working on, and I want us to take a look at what she's trying to solve. So let's get a mic back there to her, and I'm gonna go back there.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
Let's get a mic on Jeannie.
I've been trying to get my computer working to go to China. I took it in, and they charged me $300 to look at it and tell me it's nothing I need to do.
Let's back up and start with the beginning. First of all, what you're trying to do is you want to teach English to Chinese folks.
That's right. It's getting real complicated.
And that's a neat thing to do. The first thing I suggested you do was to increase your internet speed, which you've done.
And it's $30 a month, and if I want one more second, it's going to be $75 a month. That's over and above my cost.
Boy, they're proud of it.
And
that's through Uverse.
AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T Uverse.
Okay. So then I went to Best Buy and asked them to give me the best headphones and the best camera, and they did, and I paid for it, and I get it home, and it will not plug into the ports. And so I called Gil, and I told him I was gonna come today, and he tells me, he gives these little things a number, a 2 and a 3.
Those are
USB
USB.
2, and they're too fat and too big to fit in the back of the computer.
No, they'll fit.
No, they won't.
Yeah, they will.
Okay, well, 2 people tried and it didn't go, but it's okay. So anyway, I've been given 2 solutions. One is a hub, and I will plug it into the hub into where my port is that I have the Wi-Fi, and supposedly I will now have an expansion. So, and if that doesn't work, then I'm gonna bring this up here and sit it on Gil's table and let him do his magic with what? What was it you're gonna do? Are you,
Hocus pocus.
oh, hocus pocus?
Yes, say a blessing.
Yeah.
Because I don't even own a screwdriver, so I don't know what to do with this. So he's gonna figure it out.
Okay, I don't remember the motherboard you have, but I do know you have some USB ports on the back. These are standard USB 2. The case that you have, I think it was a metal case, and I think there's some either USB ports on the top or else there's some at the front. Oh, you've
There's-
got this.
Okay. I think we played with that and it did work on that one, but that's not mine, so.
I
Yeah.
just showed it what the plug was for and identified it.
Yeah, you've got several of these on the back of the computer. You've also got some on the front. It's either on the front or the top. I don't remember the case.
It's the front, you have one down there at the bottom, just one in this little box that has a flip lid.
Is it at the very bottom?
Yeah,
Okay. I don't remember what case that is. So I thought I could tell you and show you, but based on what you told me, bring the computer in and we'll
I will.
show you where it plugs in.
I'm working the next 2 Wednesdays, but I'll be in the 3rd Wednesday.
Okay, we're gonna have a guest speaker next week, so I want to be sure and remind everybody of that.
And he's good, I know Mr. Garcia.
Mr. Garcia. Lou, you want to tell us about that guest speaker we're gonna have next week?
Thank you.
Where's the microphone?
His name's Rafe Gonzalez, and he's with the police department, and he'll speak on spam, on what to look for, and some things to help you.
Okay, is Ralph with the Houston Police Department, or
Uh-huh. Harris County, I think.
Oh, he's Harris County.
Uh-huh.
do you know what his designation is?
I forget.
We'll find out when he gets here. So he'll be among friends. So he's going to be our guest speaker next week to talk about spam. Okay. Now, I want to go over to Tommy's computer because Tommy, what we're going to do on Tommy's computer is going to relate to what we're going to talk about. Tommy's got an older computer. He needs a new computer. So we're looking for a new laptop for him. But because of where he's at with his old laptop, we want to try to get a faster connection on there. So what I want to do is I'm going to come over there and I want to install Bella Arc Visor on his computer and interrogate it. Now, I have a pretty good idea of what he has and what he doesn't have, and what he doesn't have is what bothers me.
Stay, Tommy, sit.
You're good, Tommy. All you have to do is just sit right down there and I'll sit right next to you. But I do want to go ahead and interrogate the machine because I think it's important to know. So what I'm going to do, bring up another tab, and I'm going to go do a search for Bella Arc. And this is important to know what's in your computer, not only hardware-wise, but a lot of the software. But this also allows us to document everything about the network you're hooked up to, because we're going to take a look at a router here in a couple of minutes. So what, did you get drivers installed for this yet? When you plugged it in, did it work?
It worked.
So is that what we're working on now?
Yes.
Fantastic. It's not as fast as I would like, but yeah, that's what's frustrating. Okay, CM guest internet access. Okay. Bella Arc Advisor. And this computer, you got your money's worth out of. When we were last up here, we sat with this computer and babysitted until Microsoft finished with the updates. And I'm really glad we did, because had we have short-cycled that, there's a good possibility we could have messed up the computer. The reason I say that is because Mel Babb had her computer get messed up, and her account was there, but she couldn't log into it.
Right.
And there were some hoops we had to jump through to get that back up and running. And it has a lot to do with those updates from Microsoft. So right now I'm trying to download this. There we go. Gives me an error. Now it comes up. Now we're going to install it, save the file. Wow. This is like watching paint dry. Now, if I'd have thought about this ahead of time, we would have been able to put this up on the screen, but I don't have the computer over there. But I want to get this installed. Wow. The reason it's important to show this is because there's some new laptops that are starting to come out, and there's some laptops that are starting to come out that I'm going to say stay away from. Do not buy one of those new Acers. The new Acers have the new nice processor in them, but they've only got 8 gigs of RAM in them. And you don't want to buy a new computer that's going to give you grief like this one. So I'm going to go find this application. We're going to run it. Advisor install. And once it starts running, I'm going to go back over there and start talking about the router because this is going to take a while. Whoa. There we go. Initializing the setup wizard. Now you're going to have to babysit with this and accept the install. And a couple of times it's going to ask you if you want to update it. We're going to say yes, and then and it'll tell us, and we have to say okay. And then it's going to say, do you want to let it interrogate the network? And again, we have to say okay. So you're going to have to babysit with it for just a minute. Well, while that's running, I'm going to go over here to another computer, and we're going to take a look at a router today. Have any of you guys seen the notice from, I believe it was Comcast? They sent it out about a month ago about gigabit internet. The notice, have y'all looked at that? If you go to the link, it redirects and it gives you this big map of Houston that says, well, we know we're working on it. Okay? So's UVerse. They're working on it too. Question is, who's going to hook it up first so we can make use of it? Are they going to wait and both come out at the same time? I don't know. But anyway, whether you've got UVerse, whether you've got Comcast, whatever internet you have, everybody should have a router. Now this router I'm going to show you is one from Costco, and this is a Netgear Nighthawk. It is the model 7900P, R7900P. Now if you go looking, you'll find a model 7900, but this is newer, a little more advanced. This is the what they call the MU-MIMO, M-U-M-I-M-O, multi-user. And this is why it was important with the adapter that Tommy's got, because his laptop is so old, the wireless, it's just, Tommy doesn't even have USB 3 ports. But I've given him an AC wireless adapter to give him better bandwidth and better speed, but it needs a USB 3 port for that bandwidth, but he's still going to have a better connection than he would have had otherwise. So with that said, this new feature called MU-MIMO is for wireless, and that's multi-user, multiple input, multiple output. That's a technology for folks that have the wireless AC. Wireless, like this router, it's all about the wireless. And I'll tell you what I like about this and what I don't like about it. When I have a router that sits, I like a router to stand up on edge. I don't like a router that sits like that. That's the way this router has to sit because of the antennas. It looks like something the lady would put her stuff on. It doesn't look like it. When I get it out, you'll see what I mean. It's funky looking. If I'm going to have a router that's going to take up space, I want it rack mounted. I don't want a router that's just, because I got other stuff sitting around. Does anybody have something sharp I can open this with? I don't have anything sharper than a crayon. Anybody got a knife? Oh, that'll work. I'll come get it. In fact, let me come over there to you. Stay put. We'll do that right here. So I'm going to slice this open very carefully. Nice thing about getting something from Costco, if we don't like it, if it doesn't suit our needs, we got 90 days, we can take it back. Thank you.
My strawberries back.
If you don't like your strawberries that you bought, take them back. Okay, now what we were doing with Tommy's, we were documenting his computer and documenting his network. I installed a router for Lou about, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? And Lou's got UVerse, and she's had trouble with her internet. Again, AT&T, whatever games they're playing, I think the problem she's having is somebody keeps messing with the equipment, somebody that shouldn't be. And so that makes it difficult for the AT&T guys. Because whenever I've had the AT&T guys out, most of them, they've been right on. They know their stuff. Now this thing is big, I mean very big. And think of a router as a computer that does only one thing, but that one thing it does is extremely important. So this is the device. It's got antennas. Well, the antennas are for the wireless. And you've got actually 3 bands. 1 band for the lower and 2 bands for the upper. And you want to turn these antennas up and orient them for best signal. Because this is all about that MU-MIMO, which is the big deal right now. Plus you go to multiple devices. Because in the past, what you've had, doesn't that look like something a lady would have her makeup stuff with? That she would set things on? That doesn't look like something that belongs with computer equipment. Am I wrong or am I right? Like maybe you put your hairnet on, or doesn't look like a router to me. But anyway, they didn't ask me.
Vertically on the wall and use it as a hat rack.
Ah, there, I like that. That'll work. So, that's the unboxing. We have a manual, which is kind of irrelevant, but for those that want it. So we have the router, we have a network cable, and they've included a flat cable. I like that. I've started using flat network cables, and I'm pleased with them. So I'm going to undo that cable. We have a wall wart, a power supply. And what I noticed with Lou, she has the model right below this. Costco doesn't have that model anymore. Don't know why. But this model they do have, and they have a model above this. This particular router is $200. Let me see if I can bring it up, show it to you. We'll go to Costco. We'll go to departments, computers. We'll go over here to routers and networking. We're going to take a look at, that's the AD700, AC3000, this should be it. Now if I logged in, it would show the price. This is $200. And this is, yes, the R7900P. That's what it looks like. You can buy it online, you can pick it up in the store. This is the only one they show in the stores now. What's interesting, like I said, it's MU-MIMO, which means you can do multiple devices, wireless, multiple connection of multiple devices, sending and receiving. In the past, wireless was everybody was connected, but one talked, then another one talked. With this MU-MIMO technology, it's supposed to be good for 5 to 7 computers. Now, I'm not big on wireless, I prefer wired. And it's got a series of lights here on the front that when we plug this in and power it up, it's going to come up, tell us what's going on. And it will pretty much configure itself and set an IP address range according to whatever we're hooked up to. Now, we're going to be a router behind a router, and I've done that before, so this shouldn't be an issue. But what I'll do is plug this in, then I'm going to plug this laptop into it, and we'll watch this thing come up. Now, what's nice about it, there's a button on the back that I can turn the LEDs on or off. Some people, I guess, complain about the LEDs being too bright. There are 4 LAN ports, and 2 of these, port 1 and 2, can be aggregated. Now, that's a neat idea, but if you see it all the way through, you got to have 3 things to do aggregation. The router, where you take 2 ports and combine. You got to have a switch that you can do the same thing with, which is a managed switch. And then you got to have a computer, 2 computers, which means you got to have a computer, which means it's not going to be a laptop, that you can also aggregate 2 network connections. So you got gigabit, you got dual gigabit that you can aggregate with, and then you got 100 base, what's the other one? 10 base T.
Belark.
Do what? He's done? He's got Belark up? Good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug this in. Let's get some power on it and get it running. Find an outlet. And that's a good point. If you'll look on the back of this, before I plug it in, it actually has a couple of spots where you can do just that, and it would hang on the wall like that. Yes, Mel. Let's get a mic over there to Mel. I'm going to plug this in. Now, are we going to be able to see lights? Where's the camera? Let's see if I can get a camera down here on this so we can look at it. So when we plug it in, we'll see what it's doing.
Does that particular router have a button on it so you can turn it off instead of having to unplug it if you have to reset your signal coming in?
Yes.
Ah, yes, I like that on mine. That's really nice.
If we're looking at the back of this right now, there's a power button here on this side. Turn it off and on. There's the power where we plug it into. There's a reset button. You don't want to do that unless you have to, like if you lose the password. Well, the USB 3 port we can plug into. Here's the WAN port, the wide area network, which is the internet. And here's your 4 LAN ports. And here's a switch to turn the LEDs on or off. Because on the front of this, it's got all these lights. So when we plug this in and power this up, I'll turn it on. We start with a couple lights. We see power. And that was the one thing I noticed with Lou's. It took a while. Hers was the model below this, had lights across the bottom, and it took a while to boot. I mean, it took a long while to boot. But this will go through power, and it'll give us showing the 2.4, the 2.5 gigahertz, 1 and 2. Shows activity with the guest Wi-Fi, if we choose to use it. And also the Wi-Fi and scan. So the button to activate. Okay, shows Wi-Fi on. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. I'll use their cable. Now what I want to do is to be able to flip over to this laptop and show you what it's doing. Let's see, primary, secondary. Okay. Plug into the WAN port. We should see another light. Now I'm going to check and see if I had run BellaArc on this machine. I think I had. And at the time, when I ran BellaArc, I'm going to let it rerun. Do the updates. Do the security definitions. Now, I'm on the existing network. Now, I haven't plugged into this router yet, but I'm getting ready to. Security advisory update. While that's running, I have the current old profile. And what I like about this, I'm going to scroll down to the network part, but this shows me all the devices on the network. Now, my address scheme, this is what I use at the house, 192.168.4.1. And I think this is what I use for the switch here at Chapelwood. Let me double check. I have a good memory, it's just short. And this is, no, Up here at the meeting, I use 192.168.10.1. Now, the reason I'm talking about this, it's good to know your IPs and your IP address schemes, but when we log into this Netgear router, we can either use the Netgear login that they use as a default, or what I expect will happen, when I call up the browser, it'll automatically go to that router, since this router has not been initialized, nothing's been configured. So I'm going to unplug the laptop from the existing network. As soon as it's finished, okay, there's the current profile, and it shows, make that a little bit larger. Okay, this is the scheme I'm using here, 192.168.10.1. This address scheme is what I need to work with the default IPs of the switch. Everything's set up accordingly. At home, the default I use is because of a managed switch that I use. Now, for what I'm going to do, for whatever it's going to do, it should pick an IP address scheme that will not conflict with anything else. So I'm going to unplug this laptop from the existing network. If it'll let me. I may have to go from the other direction. Got it. Well, I should have done that anyway. Didn't realize I had the red one plugged in. Okay. Okay, I'm going to plug in the laptop, and I'm going to close the browser, because what I want to see is this come up by default. Show you how easy it is to hook up a router now. Everything is literally just 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm offline. It's going to try and hook up to the wireless. And it may have already done it. Okay, we're going to hook into one of the ports. I'll just take number 1. Takes about 12 minutes. Boom. All I did was plug in, the browser popped up, and Network Genie says, detecting if there is an existing router in your network, please wait. So we wait. This is going to be all pretty much automatic. Now, Network Genie is also an application not only that works as this interface in this router, and if you'll notice up there, the URL, it shows routerlogin.net. See right up there at the top. There is an IP address, but it doesn't matter. It's going to set up an IP address scheme that will exist and that will work with the equipment that's here. All you have to do is either go to routerlogin.net or routerlogin.com. There'll be a default admin lowercase, the account name. You cannot change the account name, but you can and should change the password. And the default password is the word password, all lowercase. It's all case sensitive. Okay. Now it says an existing router or gateway is detected on your network. It appears you're installing the Netgear router behind your existing internet provider Wi-Fi router or gateway. You can choose. So I'm going to say, help me choose or let me choose. Jeannie will walk you through a few questions and then suggest the operating mode that's best. I don't need this, but I'm going to do this so you guys get an idea of what's going on. Hey, Andrew, glad you're here today. How you doing? Are the ladies with you? Got one. All right. Spring break, right? Cool. Okay, we're going to help me choose. We'll do next. Let me zoom back out and see if I'm missing something. All right, existing router, gateway, wireless. Genie. This is Genie with a G, not Genie with a J. Genie detected that you use a gateway for your internet connection. If you want to use all of your new router's functions, Netgear recommends router mode. Jeannie needs to ask you a few questions to verify the router mode is appropriate for you. Yes, that's what I want, but I'm going to go ahead and go through this. The point of this is be sure you take charge of your network and use this as your primary. Do you currently use advanced functions like port forwarding on your existing gateway? No. Sometimes I do, but very few need that. For the router mode to operate correctly, you must connect all your Wi-Fi and wired devices to the Netgear router. And the advantage of this is this now becomes your network. If your internet access goes down because your Comcast or Uverse for some reason flakes out, because you're on your router, your network will still be alive. So your computers can still communicate with each other. They just can't get out on the internet. So you have to keep that in mind. Can you disconnect all your devices, wired and wireless, from the existing gateway and then connect it to the Netgear? Yes. I'm not going to, but I can. So it shows internet, existing router, the Netgear, and this is where everything would be connected, like your TV, your smartphone, all that good stuff. So we're going to say next. Okay. Netgear recommends that you set this new router in router mode. Router mode allows you to use all the advanced features of your Netgear router. Most of the advanced features and the cool stuff this thing can do, you'll never do. All you'll need is the simple stuff. And of the simplest, the most important things I would say is once this is up and running, any computers or any devices that you connect to this, go into this router and reserve those IP addresses for those devices. So that way they'll always connect at the same place and they don't get confused. The reason that's important because as you build out your network, what if you have a network printer? You want that network printer to always be at that same IP address. So we're going to go next. Netgear recommends you disable your existing gateway's Wi-Fi. Now, I absolutely agree with this. If you've got Comcast or if you have Uverse, turn off whatever their wireless is. Just flat turn it off. Can you disable your existing gateway's Wi-Fi? Yes. Copy your current Wi-Fi settings from your existing gateway and enter them here. Then you can disable your existing gateway's Wi-Fi. Now, this is going with the fact that I'm going to be copying from the old network. I don't need that. I can set up a new network, and even before I set up my wireless, I want to make sure I've got all my wired networks set up and secure, which means going in and changing the password. So I'm going to just accept this. I'm not going to put anything in there. Oh, can I? It won't let me. Okay. So so if we put in a name in here, we'll give it the, let's call this R. Yes. Yeah, it expects us, based on the document that I had earlier. Let me zoom back out. I have a copy of that bookmarked. So I'm reading this profile, and I would take this information, whatever I have in here, and copy that over. Now, these are all computers, of which none of them I see, because all that stuff that's on the switch, that's running on the primary switch, is segmented. It's in a different IP address scheme than this. So we're separated. We can't see each other. But if I want to set up my wireless and I want to inherit those settings, this is how I need to do it. So it's going to make me put this information in. So if I go back, it says, nope, don't want an access point. I'd have to go back too far. So let's go and put the name in there. Can you disable your existing Wi-Fi? I'm going to say no. Okay, to prevent devices from connecting to the existing gateway, use the following. Okay, this will simplify life right now to get this thing up and running. We've got a 2.4 gigahertz. We have a 5 gigahertz number 1, a 5 gigahertz number 2, and then there's our network password key. Now I'm going to take that information, I'm going to copy that out, and I'm going to create a document on this laptop, and I'm going to call this call this just Netgear router. I'll paste that information into that, so I have access to it quickly. So I'm going to leave all that like it is. Netgear 88, Netgear 88 5.1, Netgear 88 5G2, and then Smooth Oboe 427. So fine. The router is rebooting. It might take up to 2 minutes for the changes to take effect. Now there's a progress bar, but we also will be able to see the lights on the router as it reboots itself and starts over. So the power light will go from red to green, and then the internet, okay, we've got our 2.4 and the 5.1 and 2 both come up. It doesn't have internet yet, so it's not finished rebooting. Okay, we're getting an amber light. Power light now is good. We've got an amber light on internet. Okay, good. We've got internet, so all the buttons are up. And it's finishing the reboot, so we'll let it finish rebooting. If we were to change the IP address scheme for whatever reason, it would have to reboot because we'd have to save it. But saving the settings for hardwiring the IP address, it won't take as long. But if you have several computers, make sure you reserve those IP address. Otherwise, if they don't come up in the same order, they'll conflict, and they're going to sit there trying to figure out who's on first. So we're still waiting. The router's rebooting. Said it could take up to 2 minutes, like watching grass grow. But the buttons are coming up.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I noticed you mentioned the word nana. Is that with this nana crystal electricity that they're talking about?
Nano.
Nano?
Did I say something about nano?
Well, yeah, I thought you talked about that in that router there. You did not?
I don't remember nano. Does anybody remember that?
Okay, all right, forget that then.
I remember M-U-M-I-M-O. Yeah, the MU-MIMO. Multiple user, multiple input, multiple output.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. But what that brought up was the other night I saw nano crystal electricity. Have you heard that word yet?
Nanocrystal electricity.
Yes, sir.
Sounds like something that has to do with a flux capacitor.
Software is available for Mac.
Well, supposedly you do away with all your plug-ins. You don't need electricity anymore. It's all,
All wireless.
yes, sir, on
Well,
everything.
Well, this is about a router, and the router that we're talking about is for connecting devices to have internet access.
Music player,
So, is John Albers here?
and they put some software.
He was talking to me about a flux capacitor. I guess he's gonna put one in a desktop.
You need to go through and look at this guy.
My only concern are the cables, what happens when he hits it into forward.
See what the hell's there.
Anyway. Okay, the username cannot be changed, the password can be. So, I'm gonna write that down because I won't remember it. Showing my age. Okay, got a password in. Put a password in again. Select a question. What's the name of the first Netgear product you purchased? It's been too long ago. I haven't used a Netgear router in a very long time. And when the last one died, I've been using D-Link for a very long time. And then when the last D-Link died, then I went to a MikroTik. And now I'm looking at a Netgear again. In fact, I think the last time we looked at a router up here was Jerry Lee's Asus router, and that's been a while. That was an impressive router. But I think this is too, because it sets up even faster. Let's see, your oldest sister's first name. Well, that would be difficult since I don't have an oldest sister. Oldest brother's first name. That too would be difficult. Well, anyway.
Don't dare lie, you forget what you told.
You know, it's a funny thing. It's always easier to tell the truth. Now, there should be somewhere here. It's not letting me, it won't let me get past this. Let's see. So I'm going to have to answer this stuff. In what city were you born? Texas. Oh, I forgot. Texas is a country. Yeah, it helps. I'm not much on a keyboard for a laptop. Now, I don't see the button to let me go further. And I don't have... I wonder if it's going to make me... That's my problem. I'm working on it. Well, that's not going to let me bring that up. I'm looking for taskbar settings, but it's not letting me see it. Microsoft must be updating Windows. And I can't see the bottom of the screen. Boy, it's not letting me see anything. I've never had that happen before. Try taskbar settings again. It's not letting me do anything. Tab down. Bingo, hit enter. You're right. Okay, here's the information. So again, I'll pull all the information out, do a cut and paste, copy, take it over to my document. So I've got everything here I need. I've got my password, I've got me a user account name that cannot be changed. I've got the information I need on the wireless, and they have different passwords. I'm going to put a spacer in there so I can easily see that. So the same password for all three wireless. That's good. That'll keep that simple. Okay. Now it says next. Print this. So if you have a printer hooked up or PDF it, I'd say PDF it. So Microsoft Print to PDF. We'll go ahead. Give it a name. This is R7900P router, PDF files. Put that under Netgear. Settings. Took longer for me to type it than it did for it to do it. But all I'm doing is documenting what I've done. Okay, I'll go next. Now, download the following: the Genie app and the ReadyShare. I've downloaded the Genie app. Do y'all remember an application we had years ago? I forgot what the name of it was, but it allowed you to look at the network and it would let you fix your network. It would do some stuff where you didn't have to go hunting. Everything was in one place. Network Magic. And that program was purchased by Linksys. Then Linksys got purchased by Cisco. And Cisco killed the application. And then Cisco turned Linksys loose. That was a neat little program. This is the closest thing to it. I have not tried it, but it's somewhat like the Network Genie, and it's somewhat like the Network Magic. So I have the application, I can pull it down and I can look at the network, but I haven't used it. We're just focusing on the router. So it's going to process the request and it's going to automatically download this stuff. So I click on next, there's the Ready Share. So both of those are in my save. We'll go to next. Attempting to connect to Netgear server, firmware update assistant. Now this is pretty cool. Sometimes with routers in the past, it's been hit or miss to update the firmware. Now the question is, are we going to gain anything? New firmware found, do you want to update the firmware? The current 113 and the new one is 130, new firmware 130. I can let it update the firmware right now. This is the easiest way to handle this. There were some, I think some buffer overruns, bandwidth control until the DUT reboots manually. I'm going to go ahead and let it. So we're going to do the firmware. Haha. Cannot be displayed because an invalid was used to attempt access. So it didn't like that. I'm surprised. Try it again. So what I'll have to do is either log into this with a different browser or do this manually later. Now, I did this on Lou's machine and it let us. So I don't know why this one's not. I clicked on no and it's not going through.
I don't think I've ever seen the term verb not allowed. Now, what did it say?
Was it? Let's see. HTTP verb. I've never seen that either. And it doesn't give me a URL to show what it is, which I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, I probably did. Firmware update assistant. Do you want to update the firmware? I said no. Now I wonder if there's another button below here. I'll hit the tab. Same thing. I'm going to try the taskbar settings again. I bet you this machine must be updating. Yeah, because it's not even showing it. Microsoft must be updating the machine. When you're in this state, when a machine is being updated, you're at their mercy, and all you can do is let it go. You don't want to short cycle that process. I think that's what happened to Mel Babb's machine when she lost access to her account. And I mentioned that to Tommy the last time we were up here. We sat and babysitted that machine and made sure those updates finished because I was concerned what happened to Mel Babb might happen to Tommy, and I didn't want to see that happen. So I was glad we stayed with it. The account was there, Mel just couldn't get into it. She finally got it working. This got updated this morning. Yours got updated this morning?
I had an update last night. Mel had one last night.
For some reason, Microsoft is doing this Tuesday, Wednesday thing. I guess everybody complains so about the Thursday, Friday thing, like they've done us a favor. Some people actually do real work on their computers, and I can't get past this. So I'm going to go back into the Genie login. I'm going to go to the index.
Tommy's Bell Arc thing is finished.
Good, thanks. Okay. Clear browsing data. Wants me to clear the browsing history. Some browsers may have cached this page by accident. Well, the easy way to do that is just hit F5. Okay, so I'm going to go back to router login. You're not connected to your router's Wi-Fi network. Well, I'm on the internet. Now this I didn't expect to see. Close the browser. Call it up again. Try it again. There we are. Now it wants us to do the registration. Not interested in that right now. No, I don't want to create an account right now. Okay, you have successfully completed installation. Now optimize your Nighthawk experience. Smart parental control, manage network with Netgear Genie, personal cloud, voice control using Amazon Alexa. I've even seen a company that's coming out with these little devices you can put in the outlets or in the wall switches so you can have Alexa talk to you from your, It was really interesting when all that Alexa stuff went down when Amazon Web Services were not available. Does anybody use Alexa? Did yours go down?
I didn't notice it.
Didn't notice it, okay. It shows how dependent we are on certain things. Change Wi-Fi password. What I want to do is I'm going to log in. So I'll go get my password. Jeepers Creepers. No big deal to reset it. Log in. Register. All I want to do is log in. Log into my network. That's not what I want to do. I want to log into the router. That's interesting. Close that again. Try it one more time. You know, things work in practice, but when you, let's see, that was Netgear login. Router login. Yeah, Netgear. Copy that out. Put that down here where I can find it. Try that one more time. Do an F5. Make sure we're clear. Router login. That's what I want to see. Okay. That's the username, which is admin, which is lowercase. Password was Jeepers Creepers. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and save it. Now this is what I wanted to see. I don't know why it wouldn't let me do this a while ago. Internet status is good. Shows the wireless. Shows attached devices. It says number devices 8. So somebody else is on this besides me. Guest network not enabled. Ready share no USB. Parental controls not enabled. So I'm going to look at the attached devices. I want to see who's on here. Wow. That's interesting. Well, whatever works. Anyway, here's an example showing the IP addresses. It doesn't show anything on the wireless, but say I want to allow or block devices. I can go to access control. Here's a button right here. Okay, you can use access to control to allow or block computers. If I turn on access control, it shows everything that's here right now is wired. See if we can make that any bigger. I'm going to cancel that for just a second. Let's go back over to Internet. First, let's go to the home. That's giving me grief. I've never seen it do this before. For information on how to access router login, visit router login page cannot be displayed. It's having trouble with the cache. I'll clear it out again. Never seen that happen before. I think I'm gonna have to bookmark that. Okay, there's our account name, there's the password. Now we're back in. This may be a reason to update the firmware. Okay, I want to look at Internet, Advanced, router information, LAN port, guest network, the wireless network, guest network, wireless network. I'm going to go to Setup, Internet setup, WAN setup, LAN setup. Let's take a look at administration. Shows router status, which is pretty much the same thing. Advanced setup, static routes, wireless settings. Right now, universal plug and play is grayed out. That should be turned off. The only reason you want universal plug and play on a router is if you've got any kind of like cameras. Those will probably want universal plug and play. So universal plug and play is a security risk, but if you've got cameras, put passwords on those cameras. Otherwise, keep universal plug and play turned off. You make yourself a target. And the reason I mention this is because as we get greater bandwidth, we become greater targets for some of these outfits wanting to use our bandwidth to do these stupid things. So just keep your defenses up. And of course, I'll go in and reset this. The password that's on here is not what I'll keep. This is just for today. So universal plug and play should be off. And IP6 is a mixed bag. All I want to say is pretty much we're not using IP6. But if you want to use IP6, be mindful that if you set up a network printer, some of the advanced functions of the network printer, like being able to print, an easy thing, being able to scan, you may not be able to scan on IP6. The reason I say that, I'm looking at a printer right now that it says specifically, if you use IP6, these features will not work. You have to use IP4 to do these features. So that's something to know about. So I'm going to go back to basic. Let's see if it will let us do the update. Attempting to connect to Netgear server, please wait. Wouldn't let us a while ago. New firmware is found. Do you want to update? Let's try it. Downloading and updating the language table, please wait for approximately 1 minute. Okay. For whatever reason it was giving us grief a while ago, it shouldn't be because we're behind a router. It shouldn't be because of the connection up here. I did this on Lose, and it was just, everything was 1, 2, 3, piece of cake. So the problems I've seen up here, I have not seen before. Don't know why that happened. Okay, the update process takes 2 minutes. Do not turn off the power or press the reset button during the update. Router's updating the firmware. So that's going to take a little while. Kind of like watching grass grow. If we went and looked at the configuration page from Netgear for this router, when I'm looking at a router, I like to find a router that's had some firmware updates. The reason for that is because it tells me it's not only had problems, but it's a more mature router that they've solved some of those problems. And depending on the router you've got, you might see different hardware versions. For example, I used to use a D-Link router that had been through one model had been through 3 hardware revisions. And each revision that got it a little bit better, a little bit smarter, but it was nowhere near as smart as this router is. It was nowhere near as powerful as this router is. But it did what I needed. It was cheap. I think I paid like $50 for those routers. Now, this computer, this router, the most important computer you have, it's pretty much a set and forget, but they will eventually fail. How do you know they're going to fail? If you can't get into it, if you can't get through it, and even if you're behind a UPS, unless you've got all these network lines covered, you can still get hit. And I've had hit before where it might blow out the cable modem, or the cable modem might be fine, and it might blow out 1 or 2 of the ports on the router. Router would be good for another 6 months or while. And in that time frame, I'd use it what I could, because I'm only using 1 port, even though everything's connecting through a switch through that. This way, I know what's on my network, not Comcast or UVerse. That's something they don't need to know about. All they need to know is I need internet, I need bandwidth. The router is rebooting. It might take up to 2 minutes. So I'm watching the lights. Everything's still a go right now. So all we can do is wait. I'm hoping with this update that this will make this work a little bit smoother. Now I'm looking at the network on the bottom. It says no internet access. So we're going to have to wait and let it do its thing. Now Ray said he's looking at getting a router. Ray's with us today. And Ray is looking at a Asus. Can we get a mic over there on Ray, please? Let me go over here to another camera so we can see Ray. We haven't seen Ray in a long time.
See, Ray, stand up, Ray.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Just sit there. In fact, it's better if you'll just sit. We can see you.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at an Asus. I don't remember the number. I think it's their second router from the top of the line. And the thing that I'm interested in mainly, although it does do, looks like it has a pretty decent firewall, I'm looking at the advantages and disadvantages of the Trend Micro antiviral protection. Supposedly, when you try to access something on the net, it goes out and checks the Trend Micro server to make sure it's safe before it gets to your network, as opposed to having your antiviral software on your machine. I will probably run both. And
Asus calls that commercial grade security for your home.
yeah, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
I don't think I would trust it for commercial grade, but still better than what I have now.
Trend Micro is what I've always thought of as their online service. If you had a problem with a computer, you'd run the Trend Micro.
Yeah, and Trend Micro also has the antiviral stuff that you actually load on your machine.
Yeah.
That, and then the other thing, that I looked at some of the parental controls, and from what I understand, I can probably set it up so my wife can't access Amazon, which would be nice.
That'll be interesting. Block it by IP address?
Yeah.
How long do you think that'll last?
Not very.
Yeah.
She'd probably be calling you, asking you what's wrong with her computer. But anyway, it's so far I haven't heard anything that has made me not want to do this.
Is it one of the ones that lays down, or is it one of the ones that stands up? Do you remember? If you saw the picture?
It has 6 antennas sticking up, so it has to lay down flat.
6 antennas.
Yeah, I think it's a AC 5100 or 3100 or something like that.
Well, I'm looking at a 3100. I see 4 antennas.
Then it's the next one up.
I see an AC 5300. It's got, a gazillion of them. 2 on each side.
Gil, I've got an old Asus, the one with the 3. Well, I don't know, it's not exactly. It's a.
Yeah, it's the one. I think it's the one on the right.
Yeah, I've got the older one. Another great thing about Asus that you'll enjoy is they have a smartphone app that shows all of your devices online. So I can just click on the app and it will show me every device that's running on my network, and I've got like about 15 or 20 by the time you add in smartphones and Echoes and TVs and Rokus and 2 or 3 computers.
Are you using the Trend Micro?
I am not. I don't really personally believe you need anything more than Windows Defender, but that's just a personal preference.
But you haven't tried it and had problems with it?
No, I have not.
Okay.
The router seems a little bit more responsive since I updated the firmware. Oh, wow, this says operation mode access point. That's not the way I want this set up. That's why there's some things I'm not seeing. Huh. I told this how I want it set up. So I'm gonna have to go back in and reconfigure it. I don't want it set up in, that's why there's computers plugged in here that shouldn't be. That's interesting. The setup wizard is grayed out. Wow. That tells me a lot. Operation mode access point. Okay. I'm going to reset this. Does anybody have a little paper clip? I need somebody to get into that button. You got one, Lou? I'm going to reset this because this is set up as access point. There's some stuff I'm looking for that I don't see.
I've got one here, it's already bent, or straightened, or whatever.
Yeah, there's stuff in here that I need to get access to and it won't let me. Now I understand why. So I'm going to reset it. Oh, thank you much. Whoops. No, I dropped it. I'll come, hang on. I'll come get it. It's there. I got it. Nimble fingers. Okay. Sometimes you have to reset it. So there's a button on the back. We're going to reset it. Okay, I reset it. Now we'll watch the lights go crazy. With the questions I answered and the way I answered, it set itself up as an access point. That explained why it was seeing these other computers over here. I didn't get that. I want this to set up as a router. That explains why some things I was looking at that I wanted to show you I couldn't find. Okay, so we got an amber light on top. We got computer number 1. Everything went dark. We still have an amber light. Internet's coming up amber. Yeah, you can see. Just got to give it time. Anyway, we got our antennas all spread out. That is crazy looking. I'd be afraid those antennas would break off easy too. But at least there's nothing you have to screw on. You just flip them out. I don't know. I'm leaning more toward rack mount routers, but I like the looks of this. There's some other stuff I'm doing with some networking devices. Have you guys seen what we're doing on Build or Buy on the website? Been pretty interesting. For some reason we lost focus. There we go. Now it's settling down. Okay, now we can see it. Okay, it's back up and running. Now it's going to go back to detecting if there's an existing router. I'll go through this. At least we got the firmware updated. It should make it a little bit more responsive. A while ago it was kind of lackadaisical. I'm going to choose. I don't want it choosing. We're going to go to router mode. I let it choose, and router mode, that's all I want. I don't want an access point. Can you disable your existing Wi-Fi? Yes. It's going to make me do that. I'm going to say no. Come up with the same information. I just want to get this thing up and running because I want to show you some stuff. Okay, I'll set a password again. I'll go back to the same one I had. Password. Got to go through the security questions again. So, what city were you born? We'll say Texas. And what city was your mother born? We'll say Texas. Okay, fine, fine. Okay. We printed it once before, it's still the same information. Download, I'm gonna remove the check mark, I don't need those. Let's go to next, processing request. We wanna get this thing up and running. Okay, attempting to connect to the Netgear server. We already have the firmware, but we don't need it. No new firmware available, okay. But it's more responsive now since we did the firmware. I don't want an account right now. All I want to do is log into the router. Registration. I don't want my Netgear either. All I want is to get into the router. They're trying to make me, that's what I want right there, okay? It's a good idea when you do this to do what they ask, register it, create an account, so you get help if you need it, whatever. Okay, now my stuff is not grayed out. My internet, I have access to it. This is what I didn't have a while ago. This is what I was looking for. Does your internet connection require a login? No. Account name, domain if required, dynamically from the ISP, router MAC address, use default. Okay, I'm good with all that. I want to see, maybe it's under advanced. Router information, internet port, wireless settings, wireless. Netgear downloader, security administration advanced, wireless. What I'm looking for, attached devices. Access control. Okay, this is what they're using. They're using what they call access to control. And this device is allowed. I want to reserve the IP address. So it's connection type wired. Turn on access control. Allowed. I'm going to do an edit. Access control allowed. That is not what I'm looking for. I want to hardwire the IP address. So what I need to do is reserve the IP address. I've got the manual on the drive. So I'm going to take a look at the manual right quick. Incoming PDF files, Netgear R900. I think that's user manual. As soon as that comes up. Reserve. Okay, manage reserved LAN IP addresses, page 125. Go to advanced, LAN setup. Okay, I didn't see that. Go to advanced. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Go to advanced. Advanced setup, LAN setup. Advanced. I don't see setup. Do y'all see setup over here? Wireless? Oh, advanced home? Well, this says select advanced setup, LAN setup. So, okay, that's just regular setup. You're right. Setup. This says select advanced setup, LAN setup. So this just says setup, LAN setup. DHCP. Okay, right here it is, address reservation. This is what I want. We're going to add. This is what I was looking for. Now, that's the computer. I'm going to check it. I put a dot right here. It automatically put that information in. It's got an IP address. It pulled the MAC address, and it pulled the name. I'm going to click add. This is what I'd recommend you doing. Everybody, when you get a router, you want to reserve those IP addresses. It's going to update. Now, what that means is every time this computer plugs in and logs in through that router, it will log in quicker because it's not trying to acquire an IP address. It's going to automatically go to the IP address that's been assigned to it. By the same token, I can block devices by MAC address so that they can't get on here. Say somebody gets onto my network that I don't want and I don't recognize the device, I can just block it. Block the MAC address. But reserve the IP address in the router. So if you've got a TV, if you've got a heart monitor that connects to the internet, hardwired, so it gets its own IP address, reserve that IP address. Any computers you've got that you want to connect regularly. Otherwise, computers are going to go through this who's on first trying to figure out where network resources are at. Because the expectation is one computer is going to be in charge of network resources. And if the computers don't come on at the same time in the same order, say another one comes on that's a lower version of Windows, then when the newer computer comes on, they're going to sit there trying to figure out who's got the resources. And they'll be trying to figure out who's got the IP address. You have to wait for that to resolve. By setting this, you don't have to deal with that. That was the main thing I wanted to show you. So I didn't have that set up as a router. It was set up in that other mode. That's why I was seeing the rest of the network. I didn't get that. So, and what the manual says, as Lou pointed out, go to setup, LAN setup, and down there, address reservation. So at that IP address, 192.168.1.2, is this laptop with a name. Now, I'll mention this while we're at it because this networking stuff is kind of important.
Don't worry about it.
Once you've got your router up, then once you have your computers up, when you add a network printer can do three things if it's a multifunction device. It can print, it can scan, and it can fax, whether you need fax or not. But the most important thing is being able to scan through the network. And if you will give each computer its own individual name, it will be easier to identify how you want that device seen in your address book when you go to either say, here I'm standing at the printer, I want to scan something in. Do I want to scan it to a specific computer, or do I want to scan it to an email address? So if you'll have these names set and have them something simple that you know what that is, it'll simplify life. Otherwise, you're trying to figure out what's going on. I've got a couple of videos up on Builder Buy about a Canon multifunction MF249 laser printer. There's an unboxing and setup. There's a network setup. The network setup right now is about the network print setup. I'm going to do a third video about that printer, and it relates to some of the stuff we're showing about how to make that thing scan and how to make that thing email. It is wicked cool when it works. It is a pain when it does not, because some of the information is not arranged where it should be. For example, I set up an email address for the printer. So the printer can send out email to the mail server and take it to wherever. And if a fax comes in, the fax can come into that fax machine and go right back out to an email address. Nobody outside ever knows where it goes, but I have it routed from that right into email. So being able to set that up from a mail server, not everybody has that capability, but if you do, it's really cool when it works. And I've got that set up on a printer, and I'm going to do that on another video, but it's kind of involved. The other two right now are pretty much just making it work. We might look at another printer up here later. In fact, Epson has a multifunction device. Costco sells it. We might look at that up here sometime. and we'll go through some of this stuff, and I'll show you why it's so important. Get your router set up, get your IPs with your devices reserved, and then when you set that printer up, it makes everything just work. And the same thing with a printer. You should reserve an IP for that so that it always is in the same place. The only time I've ever had a problem is if the power went out or the power had a glitch. Then I'd have to reset the printer for it to come back where it needs to be. So that's pretty much it with the router. And this is the Netgear router R7900P. I'm not going to do any of the stuff with the wireless unless you guys want to see it, if anybody wants to connect to it. It's wireless. My big deal is the wired part. You can also set it up so it'll do bonding. But even though bonding, aggregation is a neat idea, say you build a new computer. Say you build a new computer that has 2 network interfaces in it. Most computers that have 2 network interfaces in it do not bond. So then you have to ask the question is, why do they put 2 network interfaces in there? I don't know. But they don't bond, which means you have to put another network card in there. So even though this does aggregation, most people probably will never use it. Neat idea. But for a router for a couple of $100, if this lasts for 2 years and it's on 24/7, then I got my money's worth. I've never had a router last more than 3 years. I think the shortest time I've ever had on a router was probably 6 months. When we start getting lightning strikes, it happens. But I average about 2 years. The routers we were doing over at Fairhaven, we were getting just shy of 2 years. I think we went through 3 routers over there. So, and I like to always have a spare on hand, so when one went out, we could plug another one in.
The what?
It's just the nature of the beast. It's probably the most important computer we have, but it's the most least understood computer we have. It does one thing, but that one thing is extremely important to service IP addresses. That's how we make all this stuff work. Like you guys are all on wireless, I'm on wired. And when you're setting up a router, everything you do needs to be wired to hook it up. But once you got it set up, then you can unplug from it and do your wireless. But when you're doing firmware updates, or when you're reserving IPs and stuff, or if you're changing the IP address range, it's a good idea to be wired when you're doing that. So, does anybody have any questions about the Genie? Did y'all find this helpful? Maybe a little bit? I may do a video up on this later for Builder Buy, separate from what we're doing today. But I wanted us to take a look at this because after doing one for Lou, it went so easy. This one was kind of a pain. But once we got the firmware updated and I reset it so that we were in router mode, not in access mode, it's working the way I wanted it to. And I wanted to show the reason why we wanted to, on Tommy's, get his Belarc Advisor report was in case we needed that information when we're putting it in the router. Document before you make that change. And if you don't have that luxury, document it once you've made that change so you know what your current network is. In other words, now that we're on this router, I need to run Belarc Advisor again so that I'll know what the setup is, save a copy of that file. It's just like, you know, the first Wednesday of every month, we talk about clone image and backup. And I'm not going to get into that again until we look at a new laptop. But that's one of those things that you need to add to that list of things to do. Document your network. And Belarc Advisor is the easy way to do that. So, Tommy, now that we've run Belarc, we know what your system is. I'm going to come over there and take a look because I want to see what we got. I mentioned, Tommy, earlier, some of the new laptops that we've heard about are starting to come out. AMD has been advertising and getting excited about the new Ryzen laptops. Well, the new Ryzen laptops that I've seen so far are from Acer. Don't buy one. They've only got 8 gigs of RAM in them. What makes that so bad? You can't upgrade the 8 gigs of RAM. And that would really, really suck. But that means that you'll go buy a laptop, figured it's not good enough, then you'll turn around and go buy another one. What they don't realize is you'll go buy a different brand. So we're going to go ahead and let this do all this stuff. It hadn't finished. We're doing these update definitions. So we're still working on the profile. Can you tell any faster network access on this? Can you tell if your network's running any faster since we plugged this in?
I can't tell.
You can't tell. Well, I agree, it's the machine. But I thought that might help as a stopgap.
So these Ryzen laptops
Yes.
that you were talking about, I haven't looked at them or even read about them.
It's
But-
the new Ryzen with the new APU in it.
Now, are these meant to be full Windows machines, or are they supposed to be the Windows 10s?
No, they're not Windows 10s, and I'm glad you made that distinction. Let me find one, and I'll show you. Okay, Acer, Ryzen. No. Acer, Ryzen. Okay. $900. It's got a 512 gig, probably stick a chewing gum in there. It has an 8-hour battery life, 8 gigs of memory. It's a Ryzen 7 2700, 4 cores, 15-inch screen IPS, Corning Gorilla Glass. That's nice. Now, if we go look here at questions and answers, conflicting regarding the memory. Okay, here it is, by Acer America. Ships with dual channel onboard memory, 8 gigs, and is not upgradable. Now, who in their right mind would buy a laptop with 8 gigs of RAM in at this day and time? Now, if you did buy one that was only with 8 gigs, I'd want it upgradable. 16 gigs of RAM, not upgradable, I'm okay with that. But 8 gigs not upgradable, I'm not okay with that. Now, granted, RAM is expensive right now. Ray said, how much is RAM? Well, about $400 for DDR. Yeah, for DDR4, 32 gigs. When a few months ago, last year, it was about $225? But it is what it is. Someone's building machines. Memory is expensive, but easy to find. Video cards are kind of hard to find and going at a premium. And power supplies, some of the high-end power supplies are at a premium, hard to find. It's this cryptocurrency mining. So buying a computer or building a computer that has an APU in it, because I've always had a problem with spending a lot of money on a video card in the past, is a great idea. However, in my opinion, this is a bad idea. And this is one of the new Ryzen laptops. And this is what AMD is excited about. Because this only has 8 gigs in it, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I think a lot of people are going to be really upset about it. Now, it says Windows 10, not Windows 10s, and I'm glad that David made that distinction, because that Windows 10s is going to be a sticking point and a thorn in some people's sides as we go forward when they find out, oh, by the way, you've got to go to the Microsoft Store to get an application to install because your Win.32 whatever won't install because we won't allow it. Yes, David?
Well, it's my understanding that all Windows 10s machines can be upgraded to Windows 10 Pro. Indeed, Windows 10s is just a mode of 10 Pro.
Supposed to be.
Yeah,
That's what they're telling us.
but you got to pay.
Well, no, and that's not so bad deal having to pay, but my concern is it going to stay that way? Is it going to end up being something like this? Because this Acer Swift that has Windows 10 on it, does it actually have Windows 10 or is it Windows 10s? Now, it says Windows 10, but based on what they're doing, I'm really disappointed in this. Windows 10 Home. If it's Windows 10 Home, then great. Windows 10 Home's not so bad. That's what most laptops have. And there have been some really cool deals on some laptops. For example, that Asus Ryzen laptop that has terrible battery life, I think it's down $100 for $1,500 or $1,600. You know, it's a whiz-bang laptop, but it's got terrible battery life, 1 hour. If you want long battery life, it's got to be an Intel processor. Intel's got the market on that. So I was excited about this, but and a 512 gig SSD, Yeah, Windows 10 Home. But 8-hour battery life. 8 gigs of RAM? That's just not. I think a lot of people that only do the little stuff, the simple stuff, the regular stuff, like doing email, a person typically has a browser open. They might have 30 windows with the browser. They might have their email running, and they could be doing other stuff. I think they're going to be sort of disappointed with what they got, with only 8 gigs of RAM in it. But that's my opinion. And if you can't upgrade the memory, that just, like again I said, if it's 16 gigs of RAM, I'm okay with that because I don't think people need more than that. I think that's all you'll ever use. If I build a desktop now with a lot of processing power, I'll put 32 gigs. I can't see going more than that. But 8 gigs? No. That just, it reminds me when IBM came out with a 486 processor that, oh, by the way, had a real small memory core in it, that when Windows upgraded, you couldn't upgrade those processors because it couldn't handle the new kernel of the new Windows. This reminds me of one of those kind of things. What are they not telling us? What is it we don't know? So I would stay away from this. For the money, I'd get something else. I'd look at a Dell, I'd look at an Asus, or I would look at a HP. But I wanted to share that with you. So, Tommy, we need to get you a new laptop, but this ain't it. So I'm still looking. And I've seen some deals, and I've had several ladies I've had an opportunity to interact with. In fact, one lady, Kim, I'm waiting to hear back from. She just got her new laptop, and she was talking about the laptop we talked about on Build or Buy, and I'm hoping to hear from her the next few days. But she got a really good deal on a laptop that had everything in it. Got it on sale from HP. It was a laptop that would have been $1,600 regular price, but was on sale at $1,200. She got a 512 gig M.2 NVMe drive in there, which makes it as fast as it'll go. She had 16 gigs of RAM, a 4K screen IPS, had all the bells and whistles for $1,200. I said, that's a deal. I want to hear about it when you get it, because she was looking for a mid-price computer. 17-inch screen. Okay, so we're going to see what we've got here. Wow. Tommy, you got your money's worth out of this. This is a Celeron. This is about as slow as you can go before you hit 2 strings in a can. I don't even think 2 cans in a string would work. Wow. 1.47, a 60 gig hard drive. Wow. Bless you. So let's see what we're doing on the network. Looks pretty good. So we are all on, wow. So 192.168.6.4. So you're on that one, but I'm still not sure you're on that adapter. I hope you are. I hope it's working. So anyway, I know what's in your machine. Now what I want to do is I want to copy this report, email to me. So when I'm looking, I get some idea of what you have. So I'm going to bring this up. Show me that page. I'm going to take that page now. I'm going to right click on it, which says Acer laptop. And I'm going to say, I should be able to do a send to. Yep, send to a compressed folder. And that file right there, I want that. If it'll do send to email, mail recipient. And if you don't have my email address in here, I'm going to put it in here so you can send it to me. Do you have an email client or do you use webmail?
I just use.
You access it from the web browser?
No, I just use.
What do you use for email?
I use Tommy Walton.
No, but I mean, how do you access your email? Do you access it from right here? You use an email client. Oh, no, you don't have an email client. Okay, you use a web browser. Do you access your email from like right here on the web browser?
Yeah.
How do you get to it?
Fox. Tommy Walton
Okay, we got.
at gmail.com.
Okay, so you use Gmail from the website?
Right.
Okay. If I can get this to come up. Web page is not responding. Okay. We've definitely got to get you a new laptop. I think Vicky needs one too. Okay, you access it from mailgoogle.com?
Yeah.
Okay.
Last call for 1.3 gig USB 2.0 gigabyte drive and a 320 7200 SATA drive. Otherwise, I'm going to take it over to Best Buy and allow them to recycle it. There's also some other strange stuff here too.
Okay, can you send that file to me?
I'm not too much.
Okay, what we need to do then is we're going to, we need to send a message. Oh, I hit builder by, I shouldn't have done that. Gotta go back. Realize what I did. Gotta wait to load. Then we'll compose a message. Because see, what I want is this report, and I'll keep this in mind as I'm looking for something new for you. Okay, we're gonna compose a message. And what we want to do is find something roughly the same size as you got, so that way it'll fit in the case you've got. Okay, this is going to go to G. Boyd. G. Boyd at builderby.net. And this will be Belarc profile. We want to do an attachment, so I'm going to see if it'll let me just drag and drop. And it did. And we're going to send it, okay? Done. Your message has been sent. View the message. Yep, deal. Thank you, Tommy.
You bet.
Okay, so we run Belarc Advisor. We know what Tommy's got. We've got a new adapter on his machine. So Tommy, hopefully, theoretically, can take advantage of faster internet, but not as fast as we'd like. Now, once Tommy gets a new laptop, he won't need that adapter because all the new stuff will be built into his new machine. So we've got Tommy up and running. We've got Jeannie in a place where she's going to bring her stuff back up later, because all that will plug into your machine, but we'll show you where the ports are on the computer. And who else did we fix? Oh, and Ray's looking at a new router. Are you still going to go with the Asus? Will you tell us how it goes when you get it? I'm curious. Well, I'm hoping maybe you'll come back up here and share it with us. If we're lucky, that would be cool. I'll hold you to it. Yes, sir. Is the mic on?
It's on now. Okay. I'm contemplating moving into an apartment complex that has AT&T fiber with 1 gig.
Nice.
Is that going to require a new modem and router, or what?
Your existing router should work, but as far as what kind of modem device you have, whatever they've got, they'll supply that.
Yeah, okay.
But it won't be something that you can get. It'll be theirs. Because they're not DOCSIS. Theirs is a completely different technology.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's a good question, because if you were on Comcast, you could get a DOCSIS. But that's not DOCSIS. So it'll be whatever the device they've got. So there'll be that rental fee.
And I wonder if they won't have their own router built in. AT&T tends to do that on the lower end stuff, I know.
They will, but I would still suggest the same thing. Use your own router. That way you're in charge of your network. I always say keep that stuff separate. Because like Lou, when their stuff went down, well, what happened with Lou was UVerse went down, then her router went out. So her problem was compounded. So we got our router back up and running, so she had her network internally, but then she had no network access out to the internet. And that's been hit or miss, and I think someone's been messing with the equipment that shouldn't be. But without physically going with the guy that's working on the stuff to see how that thing is set up and watch the neighborhood, all I can guess. All I can do is guess. But I know where the stuff is in my neighborhood, and you got to go through a couple of dogs to get to the post that our yards share. Otherwise, you go out to another pole where the other equipment's set up, we haven't had any problems with.
Thanks.
Yeah, so. But you're going to be the first, I guess, around here to get gigabit.
I'm not sure what I need it for, but it's one of those things, you get it because you can.
Yeah. So when will you be hooked up?
We're scheduled to move in maybe 60 days. So
60 days. Keep us posted on it.
Will do.
I'm curious about it, because I'm curious, once you get hooked up, run a test with testmy.net and verify what you actually have. For example, we have 2 internet connections up here at Chapelwood. One, the wireless, y'all are on Comcast, and the wired, I am wired, but I am on AT&T fiber.
Yeah, we've been shopping around at a lot of high-end apartments, and surprisingly, the free Wi-Fi in the common areas, in most places, it's about 8 megabytes. That's the best they can do.
8 megabit.
Yep. And in this place, I think they're using the AT&T 50 meg, and they get almost every place, they get 48. So it's nice. That's nice for the common area Wi-Fi, yeah.
But it's not gigabit.
No, well, the one you can buy for your home. But just, this is the free Wi-Fi in the amenities area and all around the apartment complex.
Oh, but you can get gigabit if
Yeah, you get gigabit in your apartment, right.
if you choose to, and you're going to do it.
Oh, yeah, why not? You got to. Yeah.
Sure, I agree. So what router are you using right now?
I'm using the older, like the Asus. It's like a 68. It's the 3 antenna one.
Okay.
It's a great router. It provides great coverage, and I really like it. Like the smartphone app that comes with it, and it's just been a very good router.
How old is it?
I'm on, probably 3 to 4 years.
3 or 4 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Got your money's worth.
Yeah. It only went down once, and I had to figure out how to reset. I had a hell of a time resetting it. I was getting ready to toss it away, and I said, you've got to go through it again. Went through the routine to reset. Bam, it reset. Came to life again, and it's been humming ever since. So.
You got your money's worth too.
Yeah, I sure have.
I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how Tommy's gotten his laptop to last as long as he has, but.
Hey, and my my Dell XPS. It's a 2010. I think I may have mentioned that I thought the power, where you plug the power in, I thought that was broken.
Yeah.
Turned out it was the power cord.
Oh, wow.
Got a new power cord for $60. I got a new laptop.
So you're out of the market for a laptop now.
Well, I'll probably buy one, but I don't really need one, but yeah.
It's the toys, bells and
The
whistles.
toys, yeah.
Bragging rights. Okay, does anybody have any questions about routers? Did y'all find this beneficial? I wish John Albers was here. I wanted to talk to him about that flux capacitor, but I thought that would have made an interesting discussion. For those of you who wonder what I'm talking about, look it up. For those that do know what I'm talking about. Kind of funny. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on. There's some new laptops coming out. The new stuff that I've been waiting on is not coming out till probably after April. There's some trade shows going on, and there's some really incredible deals on software. Ray was asking about a good deal on Kaspersky. You know, if you want Kaspersky, that's what I use, that's what I like. Who's having a fit? Well, anyway, don't hurt yourself. You can get it on Amazon. I've seen it at a good price, and I've also seen a good price on it at Newegg, but you just have to shop around. But as far as the new laptops are concerned, those that are coming out right now, I'd stay away from. But keep watching. In fact, there's some deals at Costco. Let's go to Costco right quick and take a look.
Man, you guys just, are not listening to the Security Now information about Kaspersky and about using anything but Windows own security software.
As I've said before, I'm not worried about the Russians, and I'm not worried about the CIA. I don't have anything that they'd be interested in. If I were looking at a laptop based on price, let's go price low to high. Now, I could go look at a gaming laptop, and gaming just means it has probably better video graphics in it. Might have better processing power, touchscreen, non-touchscreen. I got a friend, Melinda, she's given me orders for a laptop, and I've told her 2 models. One was a touchscreen, one was a 2-in-1, but she said it has to be a touchscreen laptop. So I've given her a couple of models to look at, but I said, I would say wait, and if you can wait, we're talking about after April, probably about middle of May. But like I said, some of this new stuff's coming out now. You just have to look and see what you like. I don't think a laptop gets good until we hit probably around, let's see. I haven't made any distinctions yet. I'm open, 17-inch and 15-inch. So what I'll do is let's just go to screen size, and let's look at a 15-inch, there's 60, a 17-inch, there's 21. That will eliminate all these others. So we'll look at a 15-inch, and we'll also look at a 17-inch. That's a lot. But as we go through this, we don't get interesting until we hit probably $700. 17-inch, here's a Lenovo for $700. 17-inch screen, 16 gigs of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive. Now for Tommy, I think Tommy's going to probably want a 15-inch screen. I think he'd benefit from a larger screen, but he's got a case. And because of the size of that case. Now for Vicky, I'm not real sure. I need to talk to Vicky some more. Is Vicky still here? Because Vicky's also interested in getting one for her daughter. So I would probably aim a little bit higher for them. Yes. Yes, Tommy. Where's Vicky? She's still with us? Did she go outside? Oh, okay. Oh, did you have a question, Tommy? Yes, you can get a larger, but if you get a larger laptop, you'll have to get a new case. Is that okay? Oh, good, good. See, this friend Melinda, she gave me specific orders and specifically said, I've got to have a touchscreen, which the touchscreen was not in my radar. So, yes.
Did you want to ask her a question?
What I wanted to ask, Vicki, do you have any specifics that you're looking for in a laptop? Where's the mics? Can we get a mic on Vicki? You got one? Great. Do you have anything specific you're looking for in a laptop?
No, not really.
Now, is this going to be for you and for your daughter, or, so we're looking at 2 laptops or one?
One, and it's for my daughter.
Going to be for her, and she's in school, or
No, she's working at NYU.
does she have any prerequisites? Like, does she want a 15-inch screen, or would she use a 17-inch screen?
Probably the larger screen.
See, that's kind of what I'm leaning toward, and what I just got from Tommy was he was interested in a larger screen. I thought he might want a smaller one because he's already got a case. New laptop, bigger screen means we also have to get a new case. So right now we're on par. Do what, Tommy? Larger screen. See, I like that. That's my thing too. That's what I liked about this HP. It had a larger screen. So I want to get some idea of what I think you guys need so we can gear that way. And what I'm hearing right now is both those machines with a 17-inch screen can both be the same. So I'm going
Sounds good.
to change what I'm looking at here at Costco right quick. And still, Costco is my favorite place because if I find something, wow. If I find something that I don't like, back out of that, back out of that. If I find something about a laptop that I picked that I don't like, I can take it back and I've got 90 days. And that's a big deal with me. So I'm looking at a 17-inch screen, might be touchscreen, might not, don't want to rule anything out, but at least it's got 16 gigs of memory. I would want to find something that's probably got an M.2 drive in it, because if we're going to get you guys a new laptop. Now see, here's an example. Here's an Asus Predator. I like this.
Excuse me, Gil.
Yes, ma'am.
Since my daughter is 30, I'm thinking she would probably like as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? She'll like to be able to access.
She wants the whole 9 yards.
She would probably prefer the whole 9 yards.
Now see, off the top of my head, a young lady that I've been talking with named Kim, the laptop that she bought is the laptop I'd probably recommend for you guys to get. But of the 3 places I'd say to buy, number 1, Costco, number 2, Micro Center, number 3, the manufacturer.
Okay.
This particular laptop has been the best deal direct from the manufacturer, and I'll show you.
Okay. Thank you.
This particular laptop, let me kick out of this, and we're going to go look for an HP Envy. 17T. And we're going to look at this at HP, the touchscreen best value. I'm not sure if it's going to be this top one or the second one, so I'm going to try this first one. Now this is about a $1,600 laptop, and if it's on sale, it's $1,200. This is the one that Kim bought. And I'm waiting for Kim to get back to us and tell us how she likes it. It's basically this laptop with the bells and whistles. Bells and whistles meaning this laptop has a spinning hard drive. All I can do is upgrade and put a SSD in it. I cannot put an M.2 in here. This one from HP, you can do the M.2. Okay, this says $1,500. That's not it. Let me walk through this and see. Because it starts out at $1,600, or it was. Let's see if this is the configuration. Okay, the operating system, Windows 10 Home. You can go to Pro if you want. No, this says the i7-7500. That's not it. So let me back out. Let me look at the second one. I'm looking for an 8550. This is it, $1,600. Now, if this one is on sale, it was. It's not now. This is the one I would have recommended. This is not a good deal at regular price. It's got the 8550, which is 4 cores, 8 threads, 16 gigs of memory. It's got 2 8-gig sticks, 17-inch 4K IPS, a 512 gig NVMe. This was on sale 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's got a camera, microphone, networking. The one change I would make is the Intel wireless. It's an extra $20, and that's it. Now the price they're showing is $1,620. What we need to do is watch, and not if, but when this goes on sale again, and it will. Kim got this for $1,200, actually $1,220. That is a good deal for $1,220. It's not a good deal at $1,600. But based on my preference and my personal experience, if I can't get the Asus's in, which is the one they don't make anymore, this is my next choice. And now this one I've got is that computer without the good stuff in it. I can't upgrade this to an NVMe. I don't have a 4K IPS screen. I've got a 1080 screen. So when that goes on at 1220, I'm going to email you guys, because believe you me, I'm going to be watching. But if I had realized 3 weeks ago, you know, when we met last time, that this is where we were, I would have sent that to you guys. But I didn't find out on my own. Kim said, this is what I bought. And I went and looked. I said, wow. When I was looking, this is what I saw. But when Kim found it, she got it for $1,220. And I said, you know, this one I paid $800 for. But that one for $1,220, that's a deal. So I'm just saying. So I'll keep an eye out. Now these computers back over at Costco look pretty good, but for example, I want to point out this Acer Predator. Don't buy that. It's got a history of overheating. The specs look great and the price looks good, but you don't want that laptop. But I love the specs. So if I look for the next thing close to that, a 1 terabyte and a 256 gig SSD, that's $1,300. I think this HP at $1,220 would be a better deal. So we're just going to have to watch it. Because new laptops are coming out, this will go on sale again. It's just a matter of not if, it's a matter of when. But believe you me, I'll keep watching. So as we go through this and look, for example, this laptop, which is an HP NV17T, that was $800, the model that was above this, when it went on sale, was a better deal than this. And it was like, I think the last sale they did on this, it was like $900 because it was $300 off. It had Windows 10 Pro on it. It had, see, the Windows 10 Pro, it had a touch screen, and it had Office 365 for 1 year. So the touch screen, $50, Windows 10 Pro, $50. It was worth the extra $100. It was on for a few weeks. But this other one for $1,220 is a better value. So we just got to wait. It's all about timing. So when it happens, I'll let you know. But again, my first choice is still buying from here, because if we buy it from Costco, you got 90 days to send it back, no questions asked. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Does anybody have any more questions about laptops right now? Anybody have any more questions about routers right now? Got a question about a router? Nobody? Okay, folks?
Is that the best router to buy today?
Well, I think it's a good router for the money. If wireless is your deal, remember this is multiple input, multi-user multiple input. Multi-user meaning you can have 5 to 7 devices on this and they will all communicate simultaneously. Otherwise, it's like everybody's on the internet, but only one device talks at a time. So that being a wireless technology, it's a good router for the money. It's a quick, easy setup. The problem we had was, because I was going through trying to show you some stuff, and it got set up in access mode. I didn't want access mode, I wanted router mode. And it was so easy setting up for Lou with this question 1, 2, 3. That's what I wanted to show you guys. $200. I have not used a Netgear router in a very long time, but I was impressed with the one Lou got. Did you pay like $150 for yours, Lou? $150, maybe $180, because the model you got, they don't even show on the website anymore. You can't get that model. And that's the model I would have suggested, but this is the model above it. Now, the one above this is, I think, $300. If you need what that can do, but I think for most people, $200 is a good place to be for a router. The $50 routers I used to use, those are all gone. So I'm going to be using a Netgear router now myself, which is a big deal. So, anybody got any more questions? Remember, next week we're going to have a guest speaker. Officer Gonzalez is going to talk to us about spam. So we want to give him a warm welcome. Folks, thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.